In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Dope. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to another Pointless Automotive podcast. Just the regular dudes here today. No special guest. Frank.
Or is there?
Yeah. How's it going,
Just
my
kidding.
man?
I'm good. I am I'm alive. I had
Great update.
I'm gonna exactly. I'm not yet undead. I survived all of the things. One thing we'll go off. We'll immediately start on a tangent. So
We're going that way.
yeah, exactly. So my wife wanted me to get for her not a bull, but a sous vide machine. You familiar? You familiar with sous vide?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's I did that over the weekend. Got the sous vide machine going. Threw some pork in there. I didn't. My wife did. She put pork and some citrus fruits and some cinnamon and some other things. What a lovely, lovely machine. Let that thing go for like 20 hours.
Hell
Good.
yeah.
Made some tacos with it. It was basically pork with that and made carnitas tacos out of it. Ooh.
Fancy carnitas. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yes. Nothing like a French named device to make Mexican fare.
The French are culinarily gifted for sure. That's not even up for debate. They
would have wanted more butter in this recipe, I assume, because it's more butter, more wine, which you will not catch me arguing any of that. I'm not Mr. French fare guy. Like I never eat French food because who does that? Never a bad time though.
not even the fries or toast from the French.
No,
Fries,
rarely
toast.
even the freedom fries. No, I don't know.
Les frites, if you will. That's French fries in French.
Papas fritas.
Les frites. Anyway, the episode, guys.
What's that?
Frank kicked it over. I think he had one of those, like, speaking of, I think he had a sous vide meat sweat nightmare, and he wakes up and texts me in the middle of the night, like, I've got an idea, which is weird from the guy that preps 5 minutes before our podcast starts. But it was a good one, so we're gonna jump on it. So we're gonna call I think he called it mechanical marketing, and I kind of like that because we often joke about the call outs, especially in like the 80s and 90s. Standard stuff was called out like it was some kind of superpower for the car, right? So there's some pretty funny things. I think we're gonna get into some good ones, but these are your call outs, these are your marketing lingo that somehow got wrapped in a car, and it wasn't even always that special, but fuck, the naming was good. So
yeah.
Since it's your fever dream, Frank, did you want to kick us off with one you want to talk about?
There's so many. This is one of those things where you think back and it's just like, we'll take a feature that maybe at the time wasn't mundane, but now is super mundane, but they gave it like a marketing spin on it, or even stuff that like nobody really knows what it is, but they put marketing spin on it. I think probably there's so many that are so commonplace that like are terms that people use when it's like, like almost like Kleenexes, right? Oh, hand me a Kleenex. It's like, that's a brand name. It's a facial tissue or whatever you want to call it.
There's a term for that too when a word becomes that. I forget the term.
It's not onomatopoeia. I know it's not that. It's not a palindrome. I don't know.
Onomatopoeia is a word that is the sound it makes, right?
Yeah, like I don't know.
Boom,
crash. boom, here comes the boom. So the one, I think that's probably the king.
Sorry,
wait a minute, hold on sir, time out.
You don't have that.
That's an onomatopoeia.
It is.
You need to consult a physician.
I have
immediately. And those physicians, the yin yang twins. You should see them from the window to the wall, but probably the king of all of the mechanical marketing it's got to be Hemi, right?
Oh, you think so?
I think like the most successful of all of them. Maybe not like the best, maybe not the winner, but probably the most singular in period, and then it went away, and then it came back.
Came back big, yeah.
Came back very big. That thing got a Hemi. Like it was a whole deal, and all for the hemispherical combustion chamber.
Yep.
Which was pseudo race car tech once upon a time, and then it became hyper commonplace now. But like
Yeah.
when we're talking the 60s, the 50s, really, when the original Chrysler Hemis were coming out, call it 1955, 56, through the 60s, died off in the 70s, came back in the marketing speak and parlance, in not the actual tech. The tech's been around, but just the brand name of Hemi.
I mean, yeah.
Like I feel like that's probably the king of the technological items that got a kitschy, like marketing speak name, to the point where most people, they're like, oh, it's got a Hemi. What does that mean? I don't know. It means it has a strong, powerful engine. It's like
push rod V8 and something about the somethings.
Yeah. There's that redneck comedian dude who was in the commercials, and
dude, those
and
were fantastic commercials though.
They were actually
got a Hemi in it.
Woo-hoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like that's the whole exercise here is, getting something that's technical, doing some kind of marketing speak or kitschiness or mumbo jumbo or spin on it, and then to make it, palatable to the masses, and whether they understand it or not is immaterial. Does it convey that this product is better than the others for a reason that maybe you don't understand, but the marketing is there, whether that's a badge on the side of a car, or whether it's a guy screaming, does that thing got a Hemi, or whether it's you pop the hood and there's a logo on the engine cover, or whatever that is. I don't know. I think Hemi is undefeated as far as like the king. Maybe that's helped set the stage. There's a lot of stuff that has helped set the stage, but probably the biggest.
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, it's recognized. Everyone knows Hemi. I mean, it's still a call out on modern, Dodge products. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Hemi for sure.
Hemi. What else? This is endless. It's not even just engines. It's
mine's everything. A little more niche than that, but it's on a car we really like. And I had a version of this car that didn't have this feature, but Active Aero, specifically Mitsubishi's Active Aero. So
was that trademarked? Was that a trademark term?
Dude, it literally said Active Aero on the front lip of a 3000 GT VR4. Yeah. So that's cool. So we look at cars today now. Modern cars, we're talking about hypercars and stuff. When they have aerodynamics, it's all like carbon fiber canards and insane spoilers and vortex generators. This Active Aero on a 3000 GT VR4 was subtle, and I think it was like such a small increment of downforce. It was kind of a ridiculous number, but the fact that they like touted that, and it was like a big tech thing for the early 90s. I think that they had aerodynamics that reacted to the speed of the car, or could be activated by a button. I think a lot of people that's still cool. I mean, I'm not saying it's not cool, because it's fucking cool as hell, but how important was Active Aero to that car? I mean,
nope.
Objectively or subjectively? I mean, more so subjectively, right? I mean, God, and they failed almost fucking 100% of the time. Like a modern VR4 that has working Active Aero is kind of special, right? Someone went out of their way to preserve that feature. But that's just something that it's called out. It even says Active Aero on it, like I said. But the fact that this was a thing and people like wrote about it, like you go read the articles. I swear I can feel a tangible difference when the Active Aero is activated. I'm like, sure, buddy. A little plastic fucking thing pops down and the spoiler, or whatever.
Yeah, the placebo effect is real.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a little downforce. There's definitely some drag. But dude, Active Aero, man, I had to call it out. That is a powerful term. And it sounds cool. When you see it, it's impressive, right? Like you see moving parts.
Well, I'm trying to think of, I don't know. Obviously, there's other manufacturers that have it, right? Famously, Porsche is probably the other original with the rear spoiler, whether it's on, a 964, 993,
Chrysler
986.
Crossfire had an active.
You'll get caught up in the Crossfire.
Shoot little BBs at each other's knuckles.
Genuinely a perfect game that is unmatched. Oh yeah, sense. People are like, poker's no, basketball no, Crossfire, dog.
Fucking Monopoly.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Blackjack, miss me with that. I want competitive Crossfire. But yeah, like there's a lot of other things. I'm trying to think if any of them have any trademarked terms for it. Like I don't. I'm sure there is one somewhere, but still a cool feature that gets touted and never actually used.
No.
Who was it that was the first to do like the air brake? Was that McLaren? I don't think it was McLaren. Maybe it was maybe it was a Veyron.
In a streetcar application?
Yeah. Was it the Veyron? I don't remember.
Veyron had that?
I don't know.
Are you sure the first 16-cylinder Veyron, the regular one? I don't think it did.
No, I don't know. There was some car of that era that had like I don't think it was like Saline S7. I don't remember. But had the active.
I love that car though.
I know, right? It's funny. So, I don't want to, maybe I'll come back to engines a little bit later. Because I don't want to just stick on engines, but how about just drivetrain? And by drivetrain, I mean how you're putting the power to the ground. Yeah. And so in the marketing speak, it started out with probably, are you familiar, sir, with the concept of a limited slip differential?
I reckon I am, yeah.
Okay. If you were a manufacturer in like, I don't know, the 1960s, 70s, and you wanted to portray that you have this cool device that you can opt into, and you would no longer do the one wheel peel. You would get traction in rain and sleet and snow and performance applications. And you wanted to make it seem like something special. You would name it.
Yeah, I would have track in there somewhere. 100%.
Definitely. Probably the most well-known of them is what? Posi. Oh yeah, Posi. Oh, it's got Posi. Yeah. And I remember in high school, people would say, "Oh yeah, my car's got Posi."
Yeah.
And it would be like, it'd be a Mustang. Oh, he's got, well, Posit Traction is a Chevrolet branded limited slip. It's the same. I think those were. I don't think they were like I think they were just a clutch pack based in those. Yeah. In the third member, and so yeah, like Posit Traction. Well, like what was it in Chrysler? Like, and even within GM, I want to say there were different ones. Like I think it was like safety track.
Yeah, every time
Pontiac, and then
Villa Track. There's so many like track like call outs.
Anti-spin, and then Chrysler was Sure Grip. Sure Grip. It was all the Mopar stuff was Sure Grip, and it was like Track Lock, I think, for Ford stuff. I want to say I think the very first one was I think Packard. It was like Twin Track or something to that effect. It was in the 50s. But what was it? Limited slip differential.
Every time.
and that's just two wheels. What if you have power going to four wheels, my friend? Ooh, oh boy! Like what is that? All-wheel drive. But what you've got like super handling all-wheel drive if you're Honda. It's in the 80s with Toyota, you had the all-track. All-track, and then which was also I think. Now is the current Volkswagen call out, right? It's the all track, but with a K instead of just a C. Yeah. It's a CK. And then you also had 4Motion, which was Volkswagen. You have X Drive. You have
better than Mercedes Benz with
plus 4
4MATIC.
4MATIC, yeah, 4MATIC.
That's the worst one.
4MATIC, yeah. And it's all like. Almost all of these are Haldex, which is actually it's a little different because it's like it's a subletted tech,
right?
But yeah, just all different ways to say wheels spin and touch ground.
Yeah,
like it's all marketing speak. And are there differences between these systems? Yeah, some are more are greater than others. To channel my inner The Smiths, some girls are bigger than others. Some four-wheel drive systems are different than others, and so some of them like you can delineate a little bit, but like the call out badge on the deck lid, like it's just if it says 4Motion, do you know what that is? If you're Tom, Dick, and Sally, probably not. Like probably maybe not. You assume it's four-wheel drive, and you don't, or all-wheel drive. And you don't know the difference anyway, so what does it matter? Do you sir have a favorite four-wheel drive system? Perhaps it's the VR4.
The Mitsubishi one is pretty good. Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive is tried and true. Audi Quattro is pretty good. Haldex is like considered a weaker version because it's front-wheel bias.
Yep.
And there's some other ones like that. But yeah, I'd probably go with Subaru on that one. They have a very, very good system.
The beauty of all-wheel drive.
Yeah, and then Mitsubishi's like their advanced stuff with like active yaw control and all that good stuff.
Yak.
Super AYC and all that fun stuff. That's pretty advanced, but overall Subaru is probably the best. Quattro's really good too, though. So
yeah, I wonder if that is a reasoned and informed and nuanced opinion. I wonder if you were just to like go poll the outside world, like the random car shopping. Do you remember there was that Toyota commercial? I think it was a Camry where they're like, oh yeah, it feels like it. They're like, oh yeah, we got real people's opinions, and it feels like it's grounded to the ground.
Yes, that woman in her.
Yes, it's grounded to the ground.
Yeah, it was a Camry SE, I think. Yeah.
Yes, if you were to ask that demo, and that's no knock on her. Like that's most of my loved ones
grounded to the ground
will be the grounded to the ground people, and that's fine. And say, hell, hey, name four-wheel drive system, all-wheel drive system, four-wheel drive systems, whatever. Yeah. Name them, and which one is the most successful.
Yeah.
Probably the answer will just be Subaru because people know the beauty of all-wheel drive, and Paul Hogan shows up and play Knifey Spoony and whatever.
Sure. Or Quattro, because Audi's big on that.
I bet if you asked that question 15 years ago, you would get that answer. I think today, I think it would just be Subaru. I think, oh yeah, Subaru, all-wheel drive Subaru, and that would be the end of it. And maybe a shout out to BMW X Drive, but it's all a lot of marketing speak. Any other systems?
Yeah, those
in the
names
automotive world for you.
Those names for all-wheel drive, but I did have one for an engine, Quad 4. Like naming your whole engine family, like love it, but naming it after like an emerging tech that's becoming popular. Even more so, GM took that technology, the dual overhead cam or the twin cam, and named a variant of the Chevy Nova. Literally, it was called the twin cam, which is insane. Just because it has got to be
other.
But dude, speaking of callouts though, so like early on, Honda was big on putting like dual overhead cam or VTEC on their cars. Do you remember Saturns with their twin cam badges and decals? That was so fucking cool. Like, whoa, a twin cam. That's just the same.
Well, what was funny is like on the original, I think the SC1s and SC2s, like the SC1 would have been single overhead cam, and the SC2 was a dual overhead cam, and it was like a 15 or 18 horsepower difference or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
The SC1, the SC2. We need to have a Saturn episode. But
I told you I could get the old lady on here because she did the Saturn launch pad, man. She sold Saturns.
So good. Yes, that needs to happen for one. But yeah, what's interesting, I always thought the Quad 4, based on the name, should have been a V16.
Oh yeah,
should have been the Quad 4. Like you've got 4 fours,
4 banks of 4-cylinder. Yeah, it's horrible.
But I guess probably the Quad 4 was what, like 4 valve per cylinder.
That was just about the valves per cylinder. Yeah.
Get the single 4, like the one valve in, one valve out. But like those were good. The double overhead call out is fun. There's got to be a car out there somewhere where like if it was actually the twin cam versus the non-twin cam, it was like a major deal, right? Besides like 240Z, where you had the 2-liter twin cam, I don't even remember that one, the Godzilla one that we never got. With the Prince motor. Oh, you know what? You own one of these, dude.
Are you saying there's a variance between the dual overhead cam version and the non-dual overhead cam version?
You own one of these, a big one, like a huge performance one that should be called out. Your car doesn't have a call out, but it should be.
Which one?
It's red.
I think I want a few of these.
It's red.
Are you talking about the? Oh, well, yeah. I guess the
ZR1.
Yeah, they did not really broadcast that. I mean,
no.
If you open it on the engine, it does say 32 valve, which is kind of a interesting because they were still about that valve count, right?
Yeah, no treble. But what they should have done was like, it's funny. Like GM of that era would have been like dual overhead cam, like
that's a
banner across the windshield.
Yeah, that's a quad cam engine, though, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Quad overhead
quad
cam.
4, quad 8.
Oh.
Yeah, but but then they didn't. They went subtle, and then you got this, unless you like pulled out a tape measure and like measured the width of the thing and its neck, its back. But yeah, like the dual overhead call out thing was cool. You know what? Also, GM was really good at calling out back then was ABS.
Oh, dude, everything had ABS calls. I mean, the badge was one thing, and then printing it on the wheel, like the actual wheel itself,
on the center cap or on the
one of the spokes, ABS. Yeah, baby. Love that shit. What was it? The Bonneville had it on the brake pedal, like imprinted into the rubber pad. I loved it. ABS.
Well,
I was like, brilliant.
Going back to the 60s and stuff, you would see like Camaros or something. You have power brakes. It would say it'd be like a big wide pad, and you have a circle, like a silver circle in the middle. It would say power brakes or disc brakes, like on the brake pedal.
Love it.
Like, wait, like as you're gonna panic stop, you like stick your head under the dash to make sure you've got what you got before you stomp on the pedal.
Yeah, don't lock them up.
You know what's another one? I just thought of this one on the fly. Do you remember 5-speed call outs?
That was a big deal. That was a big
it was. Deal, if we're talking early 80s. Yeah, like
getting out of the 4 speeds.
First gen Honda Accords would have those.
Yep.
Where it was like, it's not just or overdrive, which was definitely a big deal, going back to like Triumph, in the 60s, where you can get like a TR4 with overdrive, like a huge option.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, that's marketing speak for mechanics, but what other stuff is out there that's like trademarked marketing?
Well, here's one. And we both love this car, but Twilight Sentinel, or not Twilight Sentinel, that's another one. Sorry.
Well, Twilight Sentinel.
What's actually, because I did do Bonneville, I have to name that car. Probably had like 6 unique things on it. Let's be honest. So Twilight Sentinel was daytime, basically like light sensing headlights that would come on like when it starts to get darker, and you could adjust the sensitivity. Pretty cool stuff for like, that was a 93 that I owned, and it might have came out a little before that too.
I think it went back to the 60s, because that was it was GM. It was a GM product. It's a GM trademark.
Yep.
Which is a bizarro name. That's why it probably is from the 60s, maybe even earlier. I don't think it was 50s, but like early 60s. I know mid 60s absolutely had it on Cadillac products.
Yeah, definitely probably a different sensor system than they had in my 94 Bonneville back then.
Yes.
But the thing was
like a canary.
It was like, if you left it on, it was auto headlights, which was kind of cool. But the fact that GM had to call it fucking Daylight Sentinel, which is like a superhero name, right?
Yeah. I am Twilight Sentinel.
Absolutely brilliant. And how did Twilight. How did we like live a life where we had to manually turn fucking headlights on like a bunch of fucking Neanderthals? I mean, it's the craziest thing. Now we just get in our cars and the lights turn on, if we have modern cars sometimes.
So I just searched it up real quick on the fly. Twilight Sentinel was first offered on the 1964 Cadillac lineup.
Had to be Cadillac, yeah.
Before that, a related feature offered on General Motors products in the 50s and 60s was the Autotronic Eye.
I love that more. Bring that back.
It's such a good name. It's such a better. It's Autotronic Eye. It's I watch you.
Wait, on GM? Yeah. So they're bringing their like 2-year-old Cruise in. Oh, the Autotronic Eye's malfunctioning.
Exactly. It's just like some. Yeah, right. The Autotronic Eye. But yeah, Twilight Sentinel. Somebody somewhere like is like, I was the one that named the Twilight Sentinel.
Totally makes sense. So on the Bonneville though, like now on a modern car, it's an auto setting on your stock or whatever.
It had a slider, right?
Yeah. This had like, it had that, but it also had this huge like display of like saying Twilight Sentinel, and it had a twist thing that was the intensity or like the sensitivity was an actual knob, like a radio dial, which was
so good.
Ridiculous, dude.
What's a knob? And don't say me, but you know what I mean.
I'm glad they brought him back. Remember when everything went to like, what was it? That haptic feedback, touch sensitive bullshit. And you had to like take your eyes off the road and be like, what the fuck am I hitting with my hand? And in older cars, you just reach over and like intuitively turn a knob.
Yep. Yeah.
Came back.
Yeah.
Came back.
This is why we don't have like hyper modern cars, you and I.
Well, they took it back, like, right? Then there was like a huge backscaling of that technology because it Didn't make sense.
Yeah, I know a lot of it. There's a lot of pushback, and it's kind of going the other way. Can I shout out maybe I started off by saying probably the most popular one, the king of the crop. Can I tell you my most like stupidly, enragingly named one?
Oh, let's hear it. Sounds personal.
Earth Dreams.
The fuck?
Honda Earth Dreams. Which I think is like, I think there's actually like a class action lawsuit surrounding Earth Dreams, because a lot of those engines have like they fuel wash. I don't know what the situation is, but there's a class action about where I don't know if it's the fuel injection system goes rich for whatever period and fuel washes the oil and then just wipes the bearings and the motors blow, or if there's another way where you have the fuel contamination of the engine oil.
Really?
Which is the opposite of what this Earth dreams of. Is fuel contaminated engine oil and then blown motors and spewing their guts all over the highways and byways. But like, does anybody, and I guess this is the chief outlining like thesis of this whole exercise, is like I started off saying, oh yeah, people don't know what Hemi is, ha 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 ha, aren't they foolish? Does anybody, do I know, does anybody know what Earth Dreams technologies are?
Someone from Honda will talk to you probably ad nauseum as to why they came up with that naming convention. I remember the first time too, because I worked on a friend's car and I snapped a photo of it because it was an Accord Sport 2.0, which is like effectively a detuned Type R, Civic Type R engine. Yeah. And I popped the hood and I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? What does this run on? Fairy queefs? I was like, Earth Dreams. I'm like, this is a 2-liter turbo. And that fucking car moves, dude.
It does.
Even though it is down a little bit from the Type R, that thing moved. Yeah, Earth Dreams. It's right up there with Sky Active from Mazda. The fuck
Sky
is
Active
Sky
is
Active?
Exactly. Nobody knows. I think
get out of here.
I'm gonna take a stab at it. And
Saturn Sky Active.
We can. Well, yes, we can. I always said it was like Girth Dreams and Guy Active, but what do I know?
Active.
Exactly. Wow, that sounds good. I'll have that. I don't know. I assume I want to say Sky Active is like, it's a little bit higher compression and there's some weird like
it's still
cam timing shit, and I feel like Earth Dreams is probably the exact same thing, except it's like, well, we didn't bump the compression that much, and instead we've got this like EV tech that's like more fuel economic, and we warm the cats up faster, so the cold start is less aggressive or something silly. Like I assume that's what it is, but I don't know. Maybe the engine stop start is more aggro than on other manufacturers, and I don't know. But nobody knows, and like we're talking about this shit. We're talking shit about this shit, and we don't. I don't know. You don't know. It's all marketing speak. But like,
it doesn't feel like it belongs in a car either. It's like Earth Dreams. I was like, it's a pretty fucking violent 4-cylinder turbo. It's like, why are we calling it Earth Dreams?
Well, there's a picture of a cloudless planet like on the engine cover.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And in Sky Active, you've got like the little call out badge on like the deck lid or like under the tail lamp or whatever.
Yeah,
and people go, oh, it's got Sky Active. What does that mean? I don't know. Like, just it's, I don't know. And there's a lot. I mean,
about the Ecotech engines from GM, dude. Ecotech, it's good for the environment.
Ecotech, Z-Tech, some of these we know, like VVTi, like,
yeah, sure,
we know what that is, but most in period is just like, oh, is that like VTech? Yes, it is. Do you know what VTech is? No. Like, but most people off the street, like, and that became a thing, right? And at least that you can feel when you were driving, right? Like, you would drive it, there's a thing, it changes over, oh, it revs really high. Why is that? VTech. Oh, okay, cause effect. But like Girth Dreams, like, nobody knows.
Feel Girth Dreams, let me tell you.
It's Girth creams for sure, but like, and some of them
screams.
Well, what about like in the 80s when everything was turbo, right? And some of them were because they were, it was turbocharged. The cars were turbocharged, but then like that was one that was always funny because it meant something in the automotive world, but because it was so popular in the 80s and into the 90s, the term turbo and turbocharged got co-opted, like sucked out of the automotive world and put into, whatever. We took a cherry pie and we turbocharged it. It's like, what does that mean? That means nothing.
Well, the
Like,
the Porsche Taycan would like to have a word with you about using the term turbo.
Yes.
But yeah, turbo was like synonymous with fast, something that's fast.
And we supercharged it.
Nitro also is the same, right? Like nitro something is like fast. I'm like, is it nitrous oxide or is it just fucking something fast?
We took a computer monitor and we supercharged it.
It's like, no, you didn't. Like,
there's a belt inside your computer, just like, it's a root style supercharger, root style graphics card. But how about keeping things fun? Night panel.
Oh man,
I know
everything needs night panel.
Can I be honest though? No 200 horsepower, possibly lower than 200 horsepower, front wheel drive car needs to have a feature where you can dim every light but the speedometer.
Every car needs that.
But
every car needs that.
No, but honestly though, like it doesn't need to exist. I love that it exists, but as something that like is in a car.
You're a dad. I'm a dad. We've all had the scenario where the kid is in the back seat behind you playing with some light up thing that's like doing this behind your head, and you're like, you need to stop that because I need to see out here, and this is over here, and it's like bright around. Night panel, baby. Like life needs a night panel. You know, like I'm. Is that trademarked? I don't know if it is.
I think it is. I'm 100% sure it is.
Well, who owns a trademark now? It ain't Saab.
No one.
Or the ghost of Saab.
Yeah.
Should we buy Saab? Should we start a GoFundMe to buy Saab?
How about a night panel hack where we just pull a certain fuse out and everything but the speedometer fucking lights up?
It's just a ball peen hammer you just like ruthlessly smash your instrument panel with.
The first night panel was an accident. Saab's like, let's roll with that gremlin.
Yeah, we're into it. Speaking of supercharger, I was just like ragging on supercharger. You know who's done really well and really bad with mechanical marketing speak? Uncle Elon.
Oh yeah,
supercharger. Like that's actually really good. Like for an electrical car charging network, to call it like the supercharger and the supercharger network, and it charges so fast. It's a supercharger. Like, okay, that's on brand and that makes sense. And like, it's by all accounts a good thing. But then to be like, we have another feature called full self-driving that does not fully self-drive. Like, oh boy. I don't know. I just, or the autopilot. We're gonna call it autopilot. Oh, cool. So it'll just like pilot me to my destination. No, you need to death grip the steering wheel and steer this. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. Like you're legally obligated to not let this be autopilot, even though it's called autopilot.
Right.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. And not to go like, pro or con Tesla soapbox, because that's not my cross to bear, but like they're really like in a world where we're used to like this mechanical marketing is around cylinders and pistons and the burning of gas and fuel injection, TBI and TPI and TDI and GDFI and like all this different stuff, to just be like supercharger and it not be related to gasoline.
Right.
I don't know. It's an interesting take.
Speaking of those GDI engines, everybody's like, oh man, direct injection. The salespeople are like, yeah, God, it's so much more efficient than those old injectors that were in your intake manifold. And the person,
yes, you have to pull the heads every 50,000 miles, but
it's gonna fucking carbon the fuck out of your engine. But tech, I love how they scaled that back, and now it's like dual injector systems now to balance it out.
Wash them out.
Yeah, just saying.
That's right.
What else do I even have, dude? I don't know.
I mean, there's some stuff. I mean, like, do you remember what about just like early traction control shit where you had like Pontiac wide track and Stabilitrack?
Yep.
And just like the introduction of, I mean, SH super handling, that was a little bit, that was more performance oriented, but some of that. Yeah. I'm trying to think on the fly of other manufacturers that did like branded their version of just traction control.
Well, how about like keeping with drivetrain? 4-wheel drive was super popular, and like I think it kind of started at the end of the 70s, 80s. Were really big. Those big call outs, 4-wheel drive. My Trooper has a huge decal on the side, 4-wheel drive. Do you remember the trucks that were like, so and there was like two ways to do it. You could do 4WD, you could do 4x4, which was really popular, 4 wheels, 4-wheel drive. And then they had the 4x2 trucks, and you're like, no shit, they didn't chop off the actual tires. There's still 4 tires. Like, it didn't make any sense, but it was like, oh, it's a 4x2. I'm like, no shit.
I really like one of my favorites is the old, damn it, I want to say it's Jeep, like old Willie's Jeep, but it might also be early FJ 40, and it hurts my brain that I can't differentiate the two because it's like pure sacrilege. But it's like it's like a circle, and it's got the 4, and then it spells out wheel drive. I want to say it's an early Jeep, like a Kaiser era Jeep call out, where it's a circle and it's got the 4 wheel drive.
I don't know on that one. That's tough.
Golly, I feel like I need to look it up on the fly. So you need to sandbag here for me for a minute while I figure this out.
Fucking shoulder this for a little bit. But I think the Japanese cars tended to have 4WD for 4-wheel drive, and then 4x4 was more of an American thing. You saw that in like the S10 Blazer has it. The Broncos used to have it. 4x4 was more of an American kind of version of that. But I know what you're talking about.
It looks like it's.
God, I want to say
that a bunch of knockoff stuff, but
Frank,
it looks like it's old
Toyota
Jeeps.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
What would drive look for
You're not gonna find
a bunch of Willie stuff and like, or Rover. It ain't Rover. Get out of here, Rover.
Yeah,
no one cares about you, Rover, except for me. I like Rovers; they're cool.
Yeah. LR3s, man. You want to buy a good off-roader right now?
You know what's funny? I just found the logo I was looking at, and it is an early Toyota. No, that's a knockoff. It's an early Toyota one, but there's an identical one almost that is an early Jeep one. So it's both answers are correct apparently.
Well, it was like, didn't the Japanese capture like a Jeep from the U.S. military, and that's how they built the original Land Cruiser?
Oh, yeah, like
that's how it started. Yeah.
What's funny is almost everything early Toyota, which I really love and hold really close in my heart, is deeply knocked off of American and European stuff. So
a Celica, get out of here.
That's what I mean. Like, like the Celica is a Mustang.
Yeah.
The FJ40 is a Jeep, except for the engine. The engine is a direct rip-off carbon. You can almost interchange parts with the old stove bolt, like 235 Chevy inline 6 motor. Like the bearings are interchangeable, which is a motor that was built in the 40s, which is crazy.
MR2 is a less shittier Fiero.
It is. But it's not a carbon copy. Like,
no, not at all.
The what else? My holy grail car, the Toyota 2000 GT, is a straight backwards engineered ripoff of a Lotus Elan. Like the chassis is a Lotus Elan, and then the body is a way sexified Jag E-Type. And so
they did do that a lot, actually. Great after GM. It's like the Corolla is basically a budget version of the Prism. Let's be honest.
Well, isn't that the rub? Isn't the rub is well, yes, but isn't the rub that like the American engineers invent something, but it doesn't work, and then the German engineers take the thing that the Americans invented it and make it work, but it's a freaking Rube Goldberg machine. Like it works, but it's super complex and unreliable. And then the Japanese take that and they make it cheap and reliable. And that's like the circle of life.
I think that, for a long time. Yeah.
And now it's, I don't know. And then Aussies turn all of them into pickup trucks because, what Utes going to do. So that's how that goes.
How about call outs for things like instructions? So like on my Trooper, it has the four-wheel drive instruction printed
on the visor.
I loved when old cars did that. How about like when they had to write like SRS out, like the full thing out when they introduced that? So you're like, what the fuck's going on over here? Or, that kind of stuff was super cool. Like there's
I remember my first gen 4Runner, I think it was on, I want to say on the driver side visor, it was advising you, get it, that this vehicle does not handle like a typical sedan, and so therefore it has a higher center of gravity, and so you'd like basically it was a rollover warning,
Right.
you know, like, oh, if you if you emergency lane change, you will die. And then I think on the passenger one, this was no airbags, this was an 87. It had the instructions for the transfer case, and then it also had it, I think, on the inside of the glove box door. I think it had more instructions for the transfer case, like when to do the manual lockers and all that stuff. But yeah, very, very similar vibe of the varied instructions.
Mechanical marketing. We talked about the MP3 recently.
Yes,
called out for its audio proficiencies. How about like Mercedes-Benz Blue Tech? Does that count? Is that kind of like a weird
counts.
tech
that
call
absolutely
out?
counts. Where they're like, hey, we have diesel, but you have to add some like
it wasn't good
store-bought urine. You have to add some store-bought urine into the system so it passes California emissions. And so how do we make this, how do we turn this bug into a feature? I know. Blue Tech.
Blue Tech was a good call. MP3 for being a sound file thing. There's
Bose. I mean, that's a brand name, but like, I feel like there's so many people that know Bose from cars. Like, oh, it's got the Bose system.
Monsoon, baby.
Oh, dude, is Monsoon still around? Like, as a,
they have to be. They have to be, dude.
Monsoon? I don't know. They
so
probably got swallowed up by somebody.
How about Blaupunkt for the GM Australian stuff?
Blaupunkt still makes banger shit.
Yeah, dude.
Bang & Olufsen, Nakamichi on the old Lexus stuff, the Nakamichi stereos.
What was on the LX470 that I had?
Was it not Nakamichi?
Nope. It was boy, I can't remember. It was a good one too. Well, yeah, Harman Kardon was like
was it JBL? JBL?
Nope. What the hell was that?
My Sienna had the JBL system with like the
gibbles,
completely blown out sub. Yeah. It sounds like yeah.
God, what was on that?
Infanticide.
It was good though.
Yeah. Yeah, or even like going back to like fuel injection, right? So I mentioned earlier like TBI, TDI, all that stuff. What about like Motronic or Bosch Jetronic?
Yeah, I knew you were going there.
I want to say there was like Volkswagen stuff in the 70s that had the Jetronic like call outs.
GM did it on their engines even in the 90s. They were still writing like FI, like at the like it's like, wow, fuel inject. We're in fucking 1999. I don't need to, what are we talking about?
Vortec.
Yes. Those Vortec valve covers.
Or a quick shout out to Lincoln and the fact that they decided to name one of their engines after a company from the movie Office Space. Do you remember they basically put the
Penetrode?
Initech.
Initech, that's right.
It was the Initech V8 that they had in like the Mark 8, and I think the front wheel drive Continental, where you got the 32 valve, like basically the underrated Cobra motor, but they rated it correctly in the Mark 8, because in the Cobra they said it was 305 horsepower, and then in the Mark 8 it was 290, and it's the same motor,
right?
And then they got in trouble and they put a supercharger on the Cobra, but yeah, the Initech V8,
love it.
Yeah, it never ends. It's just it's a parade of marketing vomit. And some of it is adorable.
Some of it sticks. Some of it actually sticks. They threw it against the wall. It stuck.
VTEC stuck well. VTEC is heavily memed and great and perfect. And
I think dual overhead cam is celebrated. I think that's generally a positive call out on a vehicle. We don't see it anymore, but it's like still considered,
I would say,
positive.
It's more mechanical than marketing. Because it is an actual like trade.
I don't know. They really sold their sportier cars with
the badges. Yeah, the badges were the badge callouts were the marketing.
You can still see it, right? Like they had it on like the the EM Civics had it on the side, the big dual overhead cam decal, the old Preludes. That's how you know, not that
a Vario cam
with anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Variocam. Oh my God.
Variocam. Yeah, like, and it's like we giggle about it, but like the extreme majority of human beings
No fucking idea
around cars, no idea. And that's not a slight. It's just a simple that gives the marketeers the impetus to do all of this, right?
Wait, you mean there's something different between an M car and an M Sport?
Ooh, Audi S line.
How about, dude, the craziest I
N
saw was like a
line.
300C, and it was SRT8 design. And I was like,
that's fake. Somebody made that badge. That's not real.
It's real. Look that one up.
SRT8 design is fake.
No, it's not. They made SRT8 design.
No, I don't. I refuse to believe you.
Do you know what it had in it? It didn't have the 6.1 Hemi. It would have the 5.7. I'm not even joking. SRT8 design 300C. It's a real car. When I first found that out, I was like, what the fuck?
SRT design edition 300C.
It's older. It's going to be like 2000.
The Chrysler 3. This is 20. This is an article from 11, but it's that original sign. Chrysler 300C, actually one of my favorite sedans.
SRT8 design. SRT design. I swear to God, it looks like the SRT8 badge. So from a distance,
notable. Okay, the most notable, the Chrysler 300C SRT Design Edition is a switch under the hood from this SRT tuned 6.1 Hemi to the conventional 5.7.
See,
so it's not a V6.
No, but it's a 5.7, not a 6.1.
But it's a 5.7. It's a 5.7 and 6.1. But it's the SRT design, not the SRT8 design, but close enough.
It looks like the SRT8 badge at the time, though. So you think it's fast?
Yeah, it's just it has no bits of Panther in it, so it can't be good.
Well, it's better than what they're doing with the GT line now, which has all the Hellcat and 492 stuff on it, but it's the V6,
which is a V6. Yeah, it's a rental spec.
Oof.
Boy,
you just look at the tires when it has like 225 series tires in the rear. You're like, I don't think that has 400 and something horsepower. That's how you call it.
Yeah, and it's got like a enterprise rent-a-car license plate frame or whatever. Boy, I don't know. Do you want to just quiz all over me real quick so we can pull the ripcord on this?
Yeah, I think this is fun. I do like these callouts. I can't even get mad about them because like half of them I really.
That's what I mean. Some of them are adorable.
Like I think the marketing teams nailed it, and I think it's like super cool stuff. But is it actually like useful? I don't know.
Dude, you know what we completely whiffed on, and it's the most obvious of all of these.
My sweet ass.
Well, no.
Okay.
Speaking of handling
by Lotus.
Yes, thank you. What about that? Handling by Lotus.
I mean, it was marketing, but it was fucking like, there's no like.
But what does that mean?
There's no obscurity. Yeah, but no obscurity. Everybody knew Lotus made handling cars. That's the thing. Right. That's what it was cashing on.
But did Lotus just make the badge? Did they actually design? Nobody knows. There's an Isuzu Impulse. There's like a sticker on the side of it.
There was a Lotus guy at the meeting, and he goes, "Is that a McPherson setup?" Sure. Handling by Lotus. We love that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you pay us an extra whatever 10% on top of this subcontracting gig, and then you can put the sticker on the fender of your Impulse.
Sweet ass badge. But let me pull up the ad. Why don't you explain to good listeners what we're about to do?
Oh, won't I? So we're gonna do an exercise in speaking of mechanical marketing. What's gonna happen is I am gonna have an opportunity to shame myself because Chadwick is going to find an automotive print ad from the 80s or 90s up to about the mid 2000s, and he's going to read the type copy from that ad. He's going to redact out all of the overly identifying information and copyrighted bits and pieces out of that ad, read it to me, and it will be incumbent upon me within a 10-minute time span and 3 guesses to try and figure out what is the make and model of this car, and hopefully rough idea of the time frame and generation. That's kind of how this is going to work. So he's going to rattle this off. He's going to read it to me. I get 3 guesses. I get 10 minutes. I'm almost ready. Feel free to play it along at home. Chadwick, are you ready?
I am. Here's the ad, my friend.
All
10 minutes.
Paint my face.
Once I finish, I'll get the phone ready.
Let's be fair. Let's be real. This guy never finishes.
You got this one, by the way. Okay, so we got a 2-pager vehicle, straight on passenger side, looking beautiful silhouette of it going down the road
pretty.
at some speed. The tagline is, "It sticks to the road like bubblegum to hot asphalt."
Oh,
Emphasis on ass.
yeah.
Okay.
Fault.
It was a warm spring day when the writers at Motor Trend, ever heard of them, got together to. I added that. That was very nice.
Oh, I thought that was in
90s
there.
attitude, bro.
Oh man. All right. We've already established the era. Carry on.
Right. Well, that might not be appropriate for the ad, though. Determine once and for all the 10 best handling cars on the face of the earth. Not below it, not above it. No earth dreams.
Hold on the crust.
When the day had come to a close and all the points were tabulated, standing on the final list amongst automobiles costing more than twice the money was the sports car you see pictured here. Frank, you don't see it. I can see it quite clearly.
Oh boy.
The blank. Such success isn't surprising considering the blank's highly advanced four-wheel independent suspension system.
Okay.
It's superb viscous limited slip differential. We got all kinds of marketing going on here, buddy. Although the blank is noted for handling curves, it can also devour straightaways. Under the hood is a dual overhead cam, 16 valve, 140 horsepower engine that redefines the term pocket rocket. While standard four-wheel disc brakes and available ABS technology provide exceptional stopping power. This is all the buzz of this era.
I'm catching it. I'm catching the feeling.
Inside the cabin is a wraparound dash with analog instrumentation, a standard driver's side airbag, and form-fitting front bucket seats that keep you comfortably in place. All in all, the blank is an automobile is an automobile so complete that Car and Driver, now we're switching publications here, proclaimed, if Porsche could figure out how to make an inexpensive car, this would be it.
Oh,
it's a bold statement, man.
Wow.
Of course, while such praise is impressive, there's absolutely no substitute for a test drive, at which point we're quite certain you'll see why the blank is the sports car so many driving enthusiasts are stuck on. 10 minutes on the clock, Frank. What are you talking about? Some pretty standard fare there, though, but some good call outs.
Good. I mean, 16 valve, 140 horsepower is very boilerplate for, call it early to mid 90s. Have you heard of them? So that the wild card sort of is a here's the thing. If I was really deep in the woods on my 80s and 90s auto journalism, I would be able to like reverse engineer this based upon the best handling test.
Sure.
Good brakes, allegedly.
Apparently.
140 horsepower, viscous limited slip. That's the linchpin to this. So the one thing that checks all of those boxes he tried to say is chicks dig them. Chicks dig the long ball, and I dig. If it's a car, I think it is. I think I'm looking at one right now. B, it checks all of these boxes, and I think it was involved in this test, but I don't know if this is the exact car. That would be the Nissan NX 2000, maybe, but it very, very easily could also be Sentra SER. It also maybe could be an Infiniti G20 Touring, but it didn't sound like that.
What if the potential answer was all three of those probably were featured in the top 10 list, just so you know?
Right. That's what I mean. And
they actually were.
And beyond that, I also think there's a puncher's chance. One thing that's throwing me off is the 140 horsepower count. This also reads like it could be a fourth gen Prelude based around the wraparound dash is very fourth gen Prelude. The base model and the VTEC model would not be at this horsepower count, but the SI is close. I want to say it's maybe 150, 160 versus the VTEC was 190. But that was a 2.3, and I don't think that came with it. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to say this is the Nissan NX 2000. Call it a 1991. Final answer, Bob?
The NX 2000. Such success isn't surprising considering its highly advanced four-wheel independent suspension. Good job, my friend. That is it.
Yes.
But honestly, truthfully,
You just wanted the ad, you son of a bitch, isn't it?
No, it's a great ad. Both the G20 and the Sentra SER B13 were featured in the same list and did.
Why?
Because they were fucking all fantastic.
Well, no, I get it, but like
not on the same year. I think they did different years for each one, right? Like so.
I thought in the same test, like the top 10 and like 30% of them were.
I think they picked
SER
one each year. I don't think they all
or SR20.
When was the first? The B13 Sentra came out first out of those. I think it even
90,
came out.
Right.
Yeah, and then 91 was the NX. You got to remember though, the G20 is not the same platform. It's a Primera, so it's a Primera,
but it's the same powertrain.
Sure, same drivetrain, same powertrain. All three absolutely punching way above their fucking weight class for handling. And what you got
those early G20s. I've spent some time. I've never driven a manual G20,
dude.
I've driven a bunch of autos.
Yeah, so I had a manual P11, which was the second generation. I've driven a few of the P10s, which are the earlier ones. I still love the B13 Sentra. I can't wait to really get this sorted NX that you do see over my shoulder there, because apparently
Can I drive it? Can I drive it? I want to drive it.
Of course, man. And it's supposed to, because it revs really well, like 7,700, which is not a slouch for the early 90s. Let's be honest.
Oh, and they're absolutely bulletproof. Like you can just beat the balls off that motor for,
as you should,
hours, and they don't care. They do not care.
They don't care. And handling out of the factory was good with a limited slip. Every one of these had a limited slip, 4-wheel disc brakes. I mean,
bigger brakes
than the Sentra even. Yeah. It has a little more weight because it has a T-top. You can get these with a hard top, which is
top, pretty rare.
Yeah, a little more rare. Yeah, but I like the T-top. I think it's worth the weight penalty. Tell you the truth.
Yep.
Cool car. I had to call. I can't believe we haven't done one yet. We did the Polestar not too long ago. I think it's a cool car. I think it's like an underappreciated car. Super fucking rare car.
Yeah. No, they're good. They're good. Have we not? Is that the first time we've had that car?
We've done an NX 2000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Polestar.
Good car.
It's
a couple
early
of Polestars, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think we did the first gen Pulsar, which is like the one nobody remembers existed.
No.
And then the second gen one, I think twice now, strangely enough.
Good job, dude. That was a good one. I thought you were gonna go with that one. But it did, like, according to that ad, it could have been either of those cars.
It could have been either of those three. Yeah. And the 140. I don't know. It's a tricky space to play in, but the linchpin is the limited slip, and then it brings you to one of three guesses. But the way it was written, it didn't sound like a sedan. It didn't sound like. I feel like if it was the Sentra, there would have been a lot more like bang for your buck speak.
Yeah. So that was the cheaper one. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, speaking of being really cheap,
is PCP cheap?
It is. It is in this neighborhood. I don't know. I don't know about you.
Project Car Progress. Do you have some updates, Frank?
No.
Oh,
I genuinely don't.
See you guys next week.
I got Whoop. See you later. No. So I got the Galant running. I've been kind of putting it around. You know what has a maybe not a progress, but a step back, because I own a Mitsubishi product. And this was of no fault of it. The clear coat on the spoilers is starting to go.
No shit.
Like it's just coming off in sheets.
A lot of times the spoilers and bumpers are painted separate from the actual
and it's plastic.
Body. So
I'm gonna get it dealt with. I've been given the information of like a god tier like touch up paint guy, but he's like that's selling him short. Like it is apparently someone who's like I think there's like a viral video of a dude who like in like Guangdong, China, who is like he'll like see any single pigment and he can just by eyeball match it and like paint it. It's like this is like that guy but for automotive paints. And so I've seen the work he's done firsthand and it's unrealistically good. Nice. And I think I might contract that guy to come out for like a couple $100 and redo the spoiler. Because it's worth it. And then there's a couple other spots. There's a couple of spots of cracked paint on the front bumper. If he's able to handle that, he can do that at the same time. And one center cap on one of the wheels. The paint's coming off. All the other ones are fine, but just a single center cap.
Okay.
So that's what's on the horizon, because all of a sudden, apparently, the clear coat on the spoilers coming away. But it's driving good
for a 30-year-old car that's been a California car its whole life.
Mitsubishi paint
in a darker paint. I'm very impressed, because if that had a Toyota or Honda badge on it,
especially a Honda badge,
it'd be gone.
10 times over. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's given a valiant effort, and so that's really the only update is the forever project continues. But if I'm gonna make it my daily driver, which I'm still undecided about, that's the thing with the Lexus. It's so easy to just get it and drive, not wake up and drive. That's what Mitsubishi is good for. But
I think the Lexus would be fall asleep and drive. It's so goddamn comfy and
dude,
kind of just blends in.
So easy. So I don't know. There's things. How about you? What have you been turning wrenches on things? I know last week we talked. You were doing the brakes on the aforementioned NX.
So I've been like prepping. I've started it's very hard. So doing these restorations, the hardest thing for me is like interior and exterior, because it can get very hard to find parts if you're missing like interior trim, especially when you're talking about cars you have like a few hundred ever made, and they're 30-something-year-old obscure cars that aren't super valuable. No one held on to that shit, right? Because there was no there was no value associated with hoarding parts away. So the interior is pretty straightforward. I did source the original stereo, which was super hard in '93. Because they just redesigned all their cars after that. So it was a special tape deck, absolutely brilliant condition. I got it for like a steal on eBay. Someone didn't know exactly what it was. So I'm going to put that in like a new boot. I think that goes a long way. Interior, not a lot. I mean, it's all original in there, in good shape. Yeah. Exterior, dude, is going to be very hard. I'm going to have a PDR guy work it over. I'm probably going to do like bumpers, and there's some other parts. I'm probably just going to rattle can most of it and really like wet sand the shit out of the clear. And try to get it as good, because it's going to be better than what it looks like now. It probably could benefit from a full paint, but the value is not there in the car.
Yeah, it's a balance.
So I'll try to clear it up a little bit. Usually it'll come out pretty good. And I use like high quality aerosol, like paint matched aerosols. And I use 2K clears, which are pretty pricey. Because if you put a cheap clear on, the first few weeks in the sun, it's
how
yellow,
orangey can this orange get? Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I just need to wet sand it a lot. I put on like 8 coats of clear and then wet sand it, and you can get it pretty clear. It's how much effort you want to put into it, right? So we'll see. And that's coming up. So I've started putting all that. I ordered a lot, and the paint's not cheap. It's like $30-something a can, so that adds up. But just getting all those little pieces together for the interior. So that's what I've been really up to. And that's exciting, because I'm almost mechanically done with the car, which is fucking shocking. I can't wait. I'm probably going to take it to a professional suspension place to get everything dialed in, because I did do sway bars. All the bushings are new, and coilovers. And I haven't played with coilovers in a long time. So I want to set it up. I want to set it up so it's more of a street car. I think it's going to be a gem, dude. I'll definitely drive it. I think it's going to be a handling like fucking dream. 200 treadwear tires too. So yes.
Good sir. What are you doing on November 11th, which is in the extremely near future?
That sounds very near. I don't know. I don't know.
Saturday, effectively.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have
Breakfast Club Rally, Sonoma County. Or like up Calistoga. I guess that's Napa County. I kind of want to take the gallant now that it's completely up and running, and hopefully by then we'll have a clear coated spoiler. It's like a half day rally. I kind of want to take the kid with me. So I don't know, putting feelers out there. Like if you're down to clown and you want to put some test miles on that there NX.
Well, I got to get this thing cranked out, because my job starts that 13th. So I started that new gig.
Hand or
what's that?
Below, like what kind of job we?
Oh yeah, no, I got a new job, like a regular
mouth
job.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So maybe I don't know, figure it out or not. But yeah, open invite.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. If I get the NX wrapped up and all done up, it's also out of state still, so I don't even have plates for the car. So it's gonna be fun, like
overrated.
Driving around to get ready for smog. Nothing illegal going on here, officer.
Nah, all good.
But we'll see. It just feels good to get through this car since I've owned it for like 4.5 years, 5 years, whatever it's fucking been. It's so bad, dude. So bad.
Is that like? No, that's cool. Well, good. So you've made some progress. I've not made progress this week.
It'd be a good compliment to the Galant. I think they'll be very
would be
similar. You'll probably be way faster in a straight line. I'll be better in the corners.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that'll be interesting. And my understanding, this is it's the pace is slower at this sort of rally. This is why it's like 6-year-old friendly. So it'll be good. Hopefully, if we can cross paths, let's do it. I'll talk to you between here and there.
And streams.
And yeah, never cross streams unless it's with a fellow gallant boy, BOI.
Yeah, buddy.
Otherwise, you got any parting shots for the good people there playing along at home?
As usual, guys, super thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We are APA Podcast, another Pointless Automotive podcast. Please feel free to review the show, whatever platform you watch it on. Like, it helps us. It gets us out there. It gives us some kind of feedback, which we do appreciate. And word of mouth is nice. Yeah. Speaking of marketing, we're all about the grassroots marketing. Spread the word. Tell your friends that are kind of into the similar kind of vehicle scene. I hate to use the word scene because we're not a scene, but
automotive lexicon.
Yeah, it's whatever it is. But just like whatever, like spread the word. We appreciate that. Follow us on Instagram. We need to post more shit on there. Follow us on YouTube. YouTube, you can find every
episode. Not actual shit. Like probably not turds.
We probably would get more follows doing that. To be honest,
that's true. Yeah. Do you remember? And while we're going off the rails here, did you ever pay attention to there was a guy that was I think it was Nutscapes, where it would be just like a guy would just like dangle his bag like in the extremely blurry foreground of an image, and it would be like this beautiful like sunset or like some sort of like landscape, and there would just be like this fuzzy out of focus, literally and figuratively fuzzy, like in the foreground, like silhouette.
No, but
Nutscapes.
I remember ratemypoo.com where you could go and rate people's crap.
There was rate my everything, and it was a simpler time.
Rate my poo had like the creative names is where I always gave extra points. But anyway,
the pretzel.
YouTube, you can find every episode of this podcast on YouTube.
Unfortunately,
usually free of mostly free of shit. But follow us along, subscribe there if you haven't. It's free all month, like it is every month.
Rate this collective poo. I refuse to plug my own stuff on this. No, absolutely not. I did not, sir. Redact. Redact.
Frank,
I will not plug myself on this episode. We're too far off the
without
rails.
indicting yourself any further. Frank, where can the good people follow your personal?
I'm not playing along.
Your
I'm
personal.
Not doing this one.
Nice.
No, just look it up. Use the Google machine. I'm not playing along. How about you, Chadwick?
Auto Obsessive Garage still. If you guys want to follow me, so
rate him if you will.
Restorations. Sometimes rating
with a T, a hard T.
Is that? Oh yeah, man. That's why you always sing that Nirvana song like that. Rate me.
Yeah, exactly, my friend. Yeah. All right. You should statutory rate us on all the places where you can rate podcasts. And on that note,
this episode's dead.
Please go away.
Love you guys.
I love
Take
you.
Care. Bye.